Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Analysis, ESEA Week 1, what we're currently on. And this is kind of just a show I want to do, ideally weekly. We'll see what actually ends up happening. And we're going to go through basically what happened in the last week in ESEA Invite Season 27, how the scene's doing. And because it's the first week, I'm also going to be talking about the teams, just how they formed and what they're going to be shaping up like. So this was my prediction before week 1, my initial standings predictions. I have made a couple of changes, which we'll look at in just a minute, but it shouldn't be too surprising. I tried to make it without any like upsets. Like, this is genuinely how I felt the teams looked on paper. So I didn't put any crazy predictions in this list. Ferrari Tech Ascent, Swift Velocity, I mean, those are the teams that got top 4 last season. Swift, obviously, a very different roster. Ascent, even a very different roster. And actually, yeah, Swift beat Ascent last season, so I guess I'm wrong on that. But, this is kind of how historically they've always been seen, and I think they kind of will stick the same. At least for this season, the top 4 have not changed after week 1. But the bottom 5 certainly have. So I started with running with Scissors, then Anime List, then TF Crew, Black Swan, and Hooligans for Hire. Black Swan being solo might surprise some people, and I'll talk about it a bit when I go into their actual team info stuff. What's up, Lord Gamer? But otherwise, this shouldn't be all that surprising. Running with Scissors, I put a little bit high, but that's just because they got a really starstruck roster. Now we can go into my current predictions, how things have changed in the week 1 matches. Ferrari Tech Ascent, Swift Velocity, again, staying the same. The first big switch, running with Scissors and Anime List, did swap. Of course, they played a game. It was very, very close on Thursday. Running with Scissors lost 3-2 in a golden cap to my Anime List. So I kind of predicted that these two teams would be close, but I didn't think it would be that close. Really happy to see close games like that. And a little bit surprising, too, because, I mean, Running with Scissors had a really, really good, looking roster. On paper, especially, you could see, the former 8K members. I mean, they haven't been 8K for a while, but they've been playing in ESEA, on and off, some of the players, and especially getting Sandblast and Saigai, 2 big names in the league from the last couple of seasons, getting on their roster. But they weren't able to overtake my Anime List, and I think that's really interesting to see. We'll talk about a little bit more in depth on that as we get down further into the document, but I just think that's interesting. And then Black Swan did beat DF Crew, so I had to put them one step ahead. This one was a little more surprising to me. This one I kind of thought could go either way, this 5v6 matchup that was happening in week 1, but 7v8, I thought that one was going to be more in favor of TF Crew. But Black Swan came out, and they actually ended up playing. Again, this might be like a little bit of a strange prediction, like that TF Crew would beat Black Swan, just because Black Swan's more of a known team. They played in the Rewind qualifier, they're going to Rewind. They played last season, they placed fairly well. They got 7th compared to the Sparkle Gang, which is the team that got signed by TF Crew. So you might think that, oh, Black Swan's better, but they had a lot of really questionable roster changes, which is why ultimately I decided to put them below. But it's good to see the roster changes haven't hurt them too bad, because they're able to beat a team like TF Crew. It's going to be tough for them to break out of the top, tough for them to break out of the bottom 3, really. I think these are going to be 2 really tough teams for them to beat, just because they did kind of struggle against TF Crew. I think the match was like 4-2, so they have room for improvement, and I'd like to see how they go going forward. Now we got the kind of individual team breakdown here. So we're going to be doing, we quickly looked at the predictions before and after week 1. Now we're going to be looking at each of the teams a little bit more in depth, how they're standing in the beginning of the season and after week 1, how those matches played out. Then we'll go into the actual match results, and then we'll go into the predictions for next week's matches. So it should be a decently long show, a couple of minutes here. Probably won't go over an hour. I'm planning not to, but we'll see. My Anime List, opening up their article here. My Anime List.net updates for Season 27, and they actually kept a fairly stable roster this season. They only swapped out Goldfish for Trippa, so that's actually a great thing to see. Obviously, roster stability is very important for doing well. I noted here, lucky they played 8K early because they'll have more room to grow. 8K, I think, Running with Scissors is a team with it's a really big lineup, but they don't have a ton of experience playing with each other, especially like the big new players, Sandblast and Psy Guy as well. Haven't really ever played with the rest of the players on the team. It is like an old core, but I think running with scissors are going to improve a lot more throughout the season than my anime list will. Maybe not, obviously. I mean, my anime list, they are a good team, and I expect to see them do well. They want to make top. They expect to make top 4 this season. Not even that their goal is to make top 4. We see it in the article right here. We expect to make top 4 this season. That was Tripp's thoughts. That surprised me when I read it, honestly. Because yeah, I initially had them pegged as like 6, so making top 4, that's going to be a tough run. Obviously, they've already proven they can beat running with scissors. That puts them at least top 5.
They're doing painting in the lounge.
They're doing painting in the lounge. Oh boy. But, you know, they have to still beat Velocity to make top 4, or Swift. I think these two are kind of spots that could swap out. But they're going to have to beat one of these two teams to make top 4. I don't really see it happening, but it'll be interesting as the season goes on. If that can happen, that would be pretty hype. My anime list making playoffs would be a big deal for them. I mean, what did they get last season? They got 6th last season. And, I mean, currently I already have them pegged higher than that. So that's really good. If you were watching their game on Thursday on TFTV2, my god, Tojo, the one roster they had swap out, so good. Holy crap, he played amazing. Ton of big bombs, ton of great jumps. He's playing the roamer class for them this season, and he did really good. This is his first season of Invite, but his 9th season overall. He's one of those players who's been kind of sitting in IM for a long time. So it's good to see him finally jump out. I'm not sure what the reason for that was. Maybe the banning incentives convinced him to join up. I don't know what it was, but regardless, here he is in Invite finally, and it's well deserved. You can tell he's been practicing, and he hasn't really had taken a season off or anything. I mean, it's been a constant stream of just playing TF2. We looked at his record. Let me see if I can pull it up. But it's pretty impressive that he's just now getting into Invite. I mean, so this is a pretty long history, right? All the way back in season 18. He was in Open for 3 seasons, 18, 19, 20. Changed team slot in season 19, but it's all good. Season 20, he makes intermediate. 21, he goes back down to Open, but does make playoffs for the first time, so that's nice. 22, 23, he plays in intermediate, doesn't make playoffs. Then 24, intermediate playoffs. 25 and 26, obviously the intermediate division goes away. But he still plays in Open, and he makes playoffs both times. Muscle March and Rugs. I'm not sure how they did those seasons. Muscle March got 2nd, and Rugs got 9th. So season 25, he did really good, especially. So now he's an Invite. He's doing pretty well, so I'm excited to see how far he goes with that. Moving on, the next team we have is Fryotech. We can open up their documentation now. Fryotech parts way with Psy, acquires Yomps. That's kind of the big story for Fryotech, isn't it? And Banny also going on to Pocket for the first time in a long time. Obviously, it's a class he's played before, but we'll see. They cut Psy due to, I think they say it somewhere in this article. If not, it's in the comments. People get upset and they yell at each other. But Psy Guy, apparently he didn't play well with the team. They didn't like his play style. That's kind of questionable to me. Honestly, I don't like this switch out. Just because Fryotech literally had the most dominant season in Invite history. They dropped only like 12 rounds the entire season. I think something like that, 12 rounds. Which is unprecedented ever before. No team has ever been that dominated. And it's true, you know, some of that success can be credited to Ascent not being quite as good as they have been in previous seasons. There wasn't really any strong competition for Fryotech last season. This season I expect that to be different, but we'll see as we move on and investigate Ascent. Here, I see this. I don't think Fryotech's going to be able to do the same thing they did last season, where they just completely rolled every team. This season, I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive, especially switching Psy for Yomps. I don't, like, obviously Yomps is a god player, right? I'm not going to try to talk down. I don't like this switch, even though Yomps is so good. And maybe I'm biased just because I liked it when Yomps was on Ascent, and I thought that was a big rivalry for a long time. Yomps has been playing up against Fryotech. Finally, now he joins their ranks. But they're having some issues, sort of, with this roster. I mean, We haven't seen it in games or on stream yet, but if you've been watching Banny's stream, I mean, Yomps, they say he's on Scout in this article, but he's been playing on Flank Scout and Pocket Scout. I think they currently have him on Pocket. I think Banny has currently gone to Scout. That's what Stage 3 is. That's a little worrying. If you pick up, like, one of the best Scouts in the game and you put him on Pocket, yeah, that raises some questions for me. Again, I mean, I don't think this is like, oh, it's a disaster, Vortex kicking third. Like, no, I don't think it's that bad. But that might open up an opportunity for Ascent to come in, take over. And maybe Ascent would have been able to, if this trade hadn't happened. You know, how much was this really Vortex getting rid of Psy and wanting to pick up Yomps rather than they just don't want to play against Yomps anymore? I think probably that's more it. Although I don't think they would ever admit that. So... yeah, I think Fryotech, obviously the favorites of the season. They have been for a while because it's Fryotech, top team in the world. They also got the Rewind land to look up to, and maybe that affected their decision to go to switch Psy for Yomps. I'm not sure if Psy Guy is going to land. I thought he kind of was. I heard rumors about 8K maybe going, but I don't think that's actually happening now. Don't take my word for it. They still could. I don't know. But that implies that maybe Psy could have gone. So I don't think that was had any effect on their decision to play, but I'm sure they'll do well at Rewind, obviously, playing up against the European teams, which I'm repping today. And then Ascent and Velocity and Swift should all put up big matches against them. So I'm sure we'll see lots of Fryotech in the time in the future. We didn't watch them week 1, but we'll definitely be seeing them. Velocity, esports now. Big thing for them is obviously Showstopper. You can see his big, beautiful face on the front of the article right here. And this is kind of an interesting thing. They swapped soldiers, Velocity and Ascent. Originally, Ascent kind of poached Marmalou from Velocity's roster, and then Showstopper's doing a lot of weird things. I kind of have it down here. There's a lot of chaos where 20B was almost going to form, but eventually it couldn't happen. So, unfortunate there. I would have liked to see 20B in this next season of Invite, and also at Rewind, because they would have gone to that if they'd formed, but it's not going to happen. With Showstopper being on Velocity, that's pretty official, but I still think this is going to be a good game, or, well, not a good game, but a good season for Velocity. It's going to be a bit rough. I said they're looking a bit shaky in my last note here. My anime list and 8K are coming for their spot. They got rolled by Ascent and Swift in the last map, in all but the last map of the qualifier. They only lost Badlands 1-0. Their performance in the qualifier was honestly a little bit disappointing from them. I thought they could easily have beaten Swift and made it in, but that clearly was not the case when they played up against Swift. They got rolled 5-0 in the first map, and the second map was a lot closer. Badlands 1-0, better scoreline for them, but man, that wasn't the kind of result they wanted to see. Obviously, I mean, that night in the qualifier, they were probably a bit tired. They've been playing a long day at TF2, but it's just a shame that they didn't quite make it. And they played so poorly. You know, I don't really care if they made it or not, but, like, I would have liked them to put up a little bit more of a fight. And then my anime list in 8K, we haven't investigated 8K yet, but as my anime list was saying, we expect to make top 4 this season. Velocity, that kind of means you guys. So, who knows? We'll see if they might got to be a little bit worried. I'm sure they're confident. I'm sure they don't think they're going to be knocked out of top 4, but clearly some other players in the league disagree, so that'll be interesting to see how that actually ends up playing out. And Showstopper, obviously, I think that's a bad trade, Showstopper for Marmalou. Just because Marmalou's like a god, and Showstopper, he's good, but maybe a bit rusty. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure Showstopper's not going to be too big of a downgrade, if it's a downgrade at all. TF Crew, I put them a bit higher, and then they ended up losing to Black Swan here. Sparkle Gang signed by TF Crew. We'll open up our document. So yeah, again, another team that only made one swap this season, KTB, swapped out 2 times 1 minus 1 players. So that's, again, a good thing. I always like to see that with teams as they move forward. Keeping a stable roster is really important to improving as a team. They lost to 6 Lakh Hertz. That's Black Swan, obviously, and that's one I had predicted them winning. That was the only game that I predicted. No, that's not true. But that was one of the games that I predicted to go the other way. Sparkle Gang, again, as we said, they finished below Black Swan. I kind of touched on this already. The two teams have a pretty big rivalry. They traded maps last season, so if we go down to this little chart, it's kind of annoying because you can't see who's who. But the Sparkle Gang and the Black Swan, week 3, it looks like the Sparkle Gang won, and then week 5, Black Swan won. So they traded maps back and forth last season, putting them at about even footing. I think Black Swan got a couple of games off some other teams. I don't know who. But just because Black Swan seems like a mess, and TF Crew getting sponsored as well, that kind of like puts them in higher regard in my mind. I kind of expected them to do a little bit better. Sad I have to put them 8th on my list. Especially June did talk up KTB quite a bit in this interview. Maybe I'll scroll in a bit on this, but June gave a great interview here, by the way. You know, I have no doubt that he will turn heads as TF Crew's resident direct rocket factory. So we'll investigate that match and kind of look at the stats a bit closer later on in this segment. But yeah, kind of sad that they lost that one. I know they wanted it to be casted, but there's a lot of good games going on. I think Banny casted it on his channel, so hopefully people were able to watch that regardless. Unfortunate that they're doing so poorly in week 1. Again, it's only week 1, but losing to Black Swan does not bode well for the rest of their season. Running with Scissors returns to ESEA Invite. That's something I didn't expect at all for a long time. That rumors were kind of popping up, and I was like, there's no way. But here they are playing an Invite. They got a combined 20 seasons of Invite experience. That's quite a lot compared to some of the other mid to low tier Invite teams. I mean, obviously that's nothing on like Fryotech or Ascent, but 20 seasons is pretty good. We'll see some more teams down below who have a little bit less than that. They also aim to make top 4. They said that in their interview here, I believe. Where is it? It's definitely in this. Yeah, here we go. We aim to break into top 4. We are confident that we'll end our 6th place streak and aim to break into top 4. I'm not too confident about that. They've historically only made 6th. Twice before Running with Scissors have played an Invite a long time ago. And both times they got 6th. As we saw way back up here. Currently I have them predicted at 6th. Started off the season at 5, but the loss to my anime list does hurt them quite a bit. The synergy is probably long gone. I feel like this is the issue with this team. I think they are going to get better as the weeks go on. Especially when you've got players like Sandblast and Sai. They're really good players, but Sandblast is a very commanding person. He likes to talk a lot and lead a team. And Sai recently got cut from the best team in the league due to playstyle clashes. So we'll see how they mesh with the team. Obviously, that's an important thing. You can't just put all of these great players into a team and expect them to work well together. There's got to be some sort of synergy there. And I hope that we do see some synergy coming in on this team because they were making some mistakes in their matchup against my anime list. That was obviously the game that I casted on Thursday. So we'll see. We'll see what they want to do. Running with Scissors, it is not going to be an easy road for them. I hope I'm underestimating them. I hope they get better throughout the season. But their rivalry with my anime list is going to be an interesting one to watch. I wonder when they actually meet next. Let's check that out because I don't actually know that. Running with Scissors. They play my anime list again in Gully Wash. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, week 6. So that will be after Rewind Land. Like I'm not sure if Running with Scissors are going. I don't think so, but maybe. So this is a team that I'm really excited about, but I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see how they actually end up doing. Hooligans for Hire are the next team. Invite recruits them. This is the worst team in the league. I don't think I'm shocking anybody by saying that. They've got a combined 1 season of Invite experience. Remember, Fabulous got 0 wins 3 seasons ago, so that technically counts as playing. They do have a core of 4 players that played in Open last season, so that's good for synergy. They did get 6th in Open and then moved up to Invite. Bit questionable. I mean, you can see in their interview here, if you read through this, I'm not going to read through it all right now, but if you read through this little blurb that Reflecto wrote, they're looking to improve. They don't expect to do great this season, and they're looking to get ready for season 28, as they say somewhere in here. So that's the attitude that they need to have, I think. As I say, I love that attitude. They're going to get rolled. I don't expect them to win a single game. But I appreciate that they're playing. You know, they're saving the league. Obviously, we needed 9 Invite teams this season, or else bad things would happen. So the fact that they're here playing and trying to improve, you know, they're not just here to fuck around. They're actually trying to get better. And what better way to play than play against teams that are better than you? So I like this. I like their attitude. I hope that they do continue with that attitude. It's gonna be a bit demoralizing to just get beat down every week, but hopefully they take it seriously. They're not just like, wow, we're playing this team, we're definitely going to get rolled. Whatever. I hope they will actually take it seriously and look and see how they can improve. It's very questionable to make top 8 in Open. The only reason they did get top 8 was because they got lucky with the first round matchup. Yeah, like, they're not a great team, but I don't know. If they win, like, even a match, I don't think they will. Maybe if they go up against, like, TF Crew or something, that'll be super exciting, and I'll be very happy for them. Swift NA rebuilds their roster, and they sure did. This really is not the same Swift you saw last season. This is 5 new players on a roster. It's only 6. So basically, it's not even the same team. It's really weird. People keep saying that this is like the new No Mercy or the new like Woodpig Quantum. It's really not though. Like this team doesn't resemble anything we've seen before in Invite. There is kind of a core, like we've seen some of these players play together, like Yite and Laz and Aim, but like a lot of these players come from different backgrounds, especially like Bot Mode and High Five and Zilly. So we'll see. This is kind of one of those where they kind of mesh a lot of great players together, but there's not a lot of history of them playing together. They could maybe pop down to 4th, but as I said, I already have my doubts about Velocity, and I don't really see a team like My Anime List or Running with Scissors beating Swift NA, so I don't know who they'll drop down to 4th to. I can see it happening, I just don't know who it would be that actually beats them out of their 3rd spot. Maybe they even don't make playoffs. I think they probably make playoffs, but you know, some of these teams like 8K or My Anime List are looking for that 4th place spot, and Velocity's not going to give in. Maybe Swift will. That's kind of a stretch, especially since they did so well in the qualifier. The classic last-minute Invite mix that'll die after 1 season. Sorry. I know this team took a lot of players when 20B exploded. They got a lot there, and that's where most of the other players got cut. So, yeah. I don't know what most of these former Swift players are doing. Let's see if we can read here. Yes, Slemnish, High Five. Well, High Five's still on the team, but Garbuglio's not playing. Marmaduke isn't playing. 4-4 isn't playing. Delpo isn't playing, and Slemnish is on Froyotech now, I think. Pretty sure. I don't think Licopedia is going to tell me. Yeah, they're not Froyotech. Ascent, I believe. Yes, he is. So 4 out of 6 of the previous Swift roster isn't playing. That's a bit sad to see, but it means that there's a strong pool of players in case mid-season somebody has to drop out or somebody wants to swap their roster out. Swift NA, it'll be interesting to see how they do, but I don't know. I don't expect them to break in a top 2 like they did last season. Ascent is stronger this season. I honestly don't know if they're stronger or weaker than they were last season. They seem about the same despite them swapping out 5 players. Last season they were a bunch of good Invite players who didn't really have a whole lot of synergy. This season is basically the same, so yeah, Swift NA, one of the not the most interesting team to talk about, but I think they'll do well, definitely make playoffs. You think Swift is straight up weaker? Yeah. Probably. Ascent reformed their roster for ESEA Season 27. They did a good couple of switches too, but Ascent, if Swift is weaker, then Ascent is definitely stronger. Because last season, Ascent was a mistake. We're just going to pretend like Season 26 Ascent didn't even happen. Because it got Corsa and Marmalou. Those are really strong pickups. Of course, getting rid of Sandblast and Showstopper for those two players. Those are both straight upgrades in my eyes. Sandblast for Corsa. Corsa's like one of the best scouts in the game. And then Marmalou's been playing on Velocity for a long time. I'm kind of sad that Marmalou is no longer playing on Velocity, but he definitely deserves to be on a team like Ascent. I think he's going to play really well with these players. They still have Patty, Badonsky, Nursey. These are three really strong players who've been on Ascent for a long time. Badonsky especially has been on Ascent for a long time. And the Slumnish pickup isn't bad. They definitely prefer Yomps to Slumnish, but Ascent is second best minimum. Absolutely agree. I don't think there's anybody who can break into the top two. Because Ascent is just looking very good this season. There's no way they don't make grand finals. I could see them overseeing Fryotech this season. I kind of talked about that when we were looking into Fryotech, but I could see it happen. It's going to be tough. It's always tough when you're up against Fryotech, but it's one of those seasons where it's looking possible. Last season, not a chance. Okay, Fryotech had everybody beat by a mile, but this season's going to be a lot closer. And it's a good thing it happened this season too, because Rewind's happening right in the middle of the season. I believe it's after week 4 Rewind is going down, so you think they can win finals if Badonsky carries? I think it's more than just Badonsky they need to win finals. I mean, all of these players have the potential to carry. Maybe not Nursey because she's on medic, but I mean the rest of these players I've seen go really huge in their own games, and if they all go pretty big and Fryotech's maybe not on their game, Ascent definitely can win grand finals. But that's still a ways away. Again, remember, it's still just week 1, but I'm really excited to see how Ascent plays the rest of the season. And their matches against Fryotech are going to be very, very hype. If he gives a shit. Oh, cares, not carries. Yeah, Badonsky, I don't know. Badonsky, there have been rumors like every season that Badonsky's just going to drop out because he doesn't care about the game, but he always seems to come back. I mean, how many seasons has Badonsky been on this team? I actually want to check this out because it's a ton. Really. Ascent, Badonsky, history. Zoom out. There's only one page. So he started in season 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and now 27. That's what? This is his 12th straight season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13th straight season playing with this team. That is commitment by Badonsky. So, obviously, I can see why he might care a little less after all of these games, but props to him for sticking with the team and, not abandoning. There's definitely been times where Fryotech has been in need of a demo man, but they never picked up Badonsky, so that's always exciting. I like it when players stick together. Last but not least, is this last? Yes, this is last but not least. Black Swans adds to their flock. In my opinion, at least before the season started, this is the team that got the worst over the off season. They swapped out 3 players, and the players they swapped in are not very good. Ninjax is apparently a good South American player. I'm not gonna speak on that because I have no idea, but he's got 0 speed. He's gonna play with a ton of ping. I think they told me it was like 180 or like 150 ping or something he was playing consistently on. That's gonna hurt his performance no matter what. He's a scout, so it might end up pissing his opponents off even more. But I don't like that pickup. Who are their new pickups also? I think Jay and Charis are their other pickups. I don't think either of them have invite experience at all. Yeah, Jay and Charis. So, I mean, they were teammates before. I'm sure they're good open players, but 0 invite experience is kind of questionable. What's up, Direct Star? We're just going over some teams right now. Obviously, last season, Black Swan did very good. Well, maybe not very good. They did okay in comparison to the other low invite teams, at least. They got 7th, and they beat out a lot of the... they beat out Cat Noises. They beat out one time, at least they beat out Sparkle Gang, so... They were looking great last season. If they'd stuck together, they definitely would be higher on my prediction list, but... Man, they just had really, really bad roster swaps. and I guess they couldn't convince any really good players to play on their team. Supposedly they picked up Jay, but Fruit has played all of week 1. I reached out to Ether about this, and he didn't respond yet. I just really reached out last night, so he probably was asleep and hasn't gotten back to me. But yeah, I don't see them getting higher than 7th this season. I think they say that they will. I think we show high promise. I think that we can make a really good dent this season in our record. I'm bad at predicting exact numbers, but we're all eager to try really hard and do well. They're missing Slyn. Why did he leave? I'm not sure why Slyn left, actually. Slyn offered to do a few casts this season, though, so there's some upsides. All right, that's pretty good. I'm not sure how Slyn actually did last season. We didn't watch much of the lower invite teams last season, so it's kind of hard for me to tell. But if they had stuck together as a core, I mean, I keep saying this, but when you stick together as a core, you can improve so much better than if you're constantly swapping players back and forth. And you can kind of get away with that when all the players are swapping back and forth are like high invite level. But when they're only high open, that's kind of questionable. Still, Black Swan, they did beat TF Crew, so they've already beaten my predictions. Ether isn't a demo main. He's getting better. Charles is good. Powell played in Invite Season 24, Season 14, so it's not bad. They have Ninjax. Yeah, like the players they have, like remaining, obviously have a little bit of Invite experience. I think they have a combined 4 seasons across their team. Yeah. And that includes last season where 3 of them played together, so they're okay. But I still put them pretty low on my list. But they've beaten TF Crew, which is the first step to showing that they're better than 8th, which is where I initially had them. So I'll be excited to see how Ninjax does as well. Like, just a South American player playing an ESEA Invite is hype just because it's a different flag. I mean, look at all these boring-ass flags, and then you got Ninjax's Argentina flag right there. Maybe that's a superficial reason to like a player, but I think it's pretty cool. We're going to go over the games now. Pretty quick for some of these, like Ascent versus Running with Scissors was a 5-0 roll. There's a clear divide between low invite, mid invite, and high invite. Yeah, definitely. I think, well, I think low invite and mid invite for sure. I think there's the divide between high invite and mid invite is kind of blurry. Like, Tech and Ascent and probably Swift are also all in high invite, but, you know, I could see Velocity dropping out to 8K or my anime list. So I think mid invite's a little bit blurrier, but definitely the line is right between 4 and 5, so we'll see. We'll see. It's only week 1 and there's a lot to consider. Ascent beat Running with Scissors 5-0. Not what Running with Scissors wanted. Obviously, they came into that match knowing they were going to lose, but 0 rounds on the board in 42 minutes. That's a little disappointing. Let's see if there's just anybody who completely pounded on them. I haven't looked at these yet. Corsa went huge apparently, which is awesome. 328 DPM, 46 frags. Great to see him back in action for their team. Running with Scissors, a little bit disappointing. Looks like Sandblast did well. I think Sandblast is probably the best player on this team, which kind of hurts me to say, but I don't think that shocks anybody. He did okay against this Ascent team. His former team, to be fair, he played with them last season, but I think Running with Scissors wanted a little bit higher than that. Kind of unfortunate they couldn't get it. Black Swan versus TF Crew. This is one of the big matches of the week. You feel Ascent could take down Tech this season? Definitely. Yeah, especially, I mean, if you weren't here earlier, we talked a little bit about when we were in Tech's section. It was really early on, yeah. Stage 3. Yomps is currently playing Pocket for them, or he was last time I watched Banny's stream. And I think when you get one of the best scouts in the league and you put him on Pocket, that shows there's something wrong in your roster. I mean, Tech's not getting third anytime soon, but this definitely opens something up for Ascent. Black Swan beating TF Crew 4-2. That's good for Black Swan. I had predicted TF Crew to win this game. The fact that it was a 4-2, didn't even go to 5 points, shows that this was a very close game. Especially in the last half, it looks like it was 1-1. We didn't stream this one. I haven't seen it. But good job by Black Swan to be able to win that. Their Argentinian player did very good. 41 frags. Not crazy DPM, but not bad either. I mean, he top fragged the server, so Ninjax putting in the work. I like to see that. Great job by him. 21 deaths from Split compared to only 12 on Charis. That's a bit questionable, but otherwise, good job by Black Swan. TF Crew a little disappointed. I would have liked to see them do better than that, but that's all right. Hooligans for Hire for Velocity Esports. I mean, like I said, Hooligans for Hire are not going to win any games this season. 5-0. Good for Velocity Esports. 42 minutes. This is a little bit questionable right here. If you can see this number. Half one, Velocity Esports gets only 1 round. What was Hooligans for Hire doing for all of the first half that Velocity couldn't get more than 1 round? I don't know. I only watched the second half of that game. Basically, as soon as the game I was watching that night ended, I went over and I watched the STV of this one. And it was like the end of the first half, and Velocity only had 1 point, and it timed out. So I don't know what was going on in that game. Maybe it shows promise for Hooligans for Hire. I don't know. I don't think it means anything, really. It's kind of questionable what Velocity was doing for those first 30 minutes of the game. Velocity Esports versus Ascent. This is the biggest kind of Tier 1 matchup that we saw all week, and I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit more of a roll than this. It's good to see Velocity getting 3 whole rounds on Ascent. I was expecting this to maybe even be like a 5-1 or a 5-2. But Ascent did or Velocity did very well up against Ascent. Again, this wasn't a match they planned on winning. But if Velocity want to get that fourth place spot, with a couple other teams that are challenging them, they got to be putting up numbers like this, 3-5. Look at the stats real quick. Kryptonite. I mean, Kryptonite always does like massive damage, but he also seems to take like a shitload of heals usually. No, that was not the case. What? Kryptonite took 569 heals? I'm not sure what was happening there. I've always had Kryptonite pegged as this pocket who like soaks up the heals, but that is a very low amount of heals. So, okay, Kryptonite, sure. Sure, he went absolutely huge, apparently. I mean, they still lost. I mean, Ascent's got some great numbers as well. Marmalou up against his former team, not putting up great numbers. Lowest frags on his team, lowest damage on his team. Did he do better than Showstopper? Kind of. Showstopper had way more damage, but a few less frags, so... No, I think Showstopper even might have played better. Just if we're just going by stats, obviously roamers, kind of hard to compare that, but interesting by Velocity Esports. I'm glad they managed to get 3 rounds. That shows promise for them. Fartech versus Black Swan, again another one of these matches where it's just like here's a 5-0, and it was completely expected to be a 5-0. Showstopper's pocket? Oh! Okay, that changes things up then. Thanks for the info, Pete. They had one man scared in the last over and over and over and over. It's Badlands, you played it safe. Alright. Fair enough, Pete. Fair enough. Just kind of questionable when you're playing the worst team in the league, but I'll let it slide. Fartech versus Black Swan 5-0. This isn't really interesting on its own, but I do want you to keep the score in mind when we look at another Fartech matchup, the other game that happened this week. So just keep that in mind. How did Charis do? Oh, Charis is the medic, isn't it? He didn't fire a single arrow and hit somebody, so interesting there. Pretty passive medic play. TF Crew versus Swift, another one, 5-0. This is like the least interesting match. I don't think anything cool was happening here unless somebody got some crazy high DPM or anything. AIM got 327, which is nice, but otherwise, nothing crazy going on here. KTB with 20 frags. Actually top, no, not quite top frag in the server. But that's good to see, especially when you're getting 5-0'd. Usually you don't have anybody getting that big in their performance, but especially with their new pickup, that's good to see. Running with Scissors versus My Anime List, match of the week in my eyes. We casted this one over on TFTV2. Went to a golden cap, and that golden cap was long. This was a long game in general. ESEA says an hour and 35 minutes, but it was 13 minutes long with the last one. That's funny. This one was much longer than 13 minutes. It was scheduled to start at 11 Eastern, ended at 1 Eastern. So me and Mela were casting that one for a long time. 2 hours in real time, 135 of play. And it was very, very close. I mean, My Anime List did end up coming out on top. I predicted, well, I wasn't sure who to predict because obviously My Anime List, they seemed confident going into it. They have a consistent roster. They did decently well last season, running with scissors. They got way more invite experience, but really no synergy playing together. So I'm happy that my anime list came out and showed who's boss. Running with scissors, they can't just coast into a 5th place like that. They're gonna have to put in the work if they want to do well this season. Standout players, I mean, I've already looked at these logs, but I don't really think anybody had crazy high. It was such a long game, like 266 was the highest DPM. That's to be expected. Fire versus the Black Swan is 13 minutes. Okay. 43 frags, 46 frags from Sandblast. Sandblast is the best player on this team. Well, maybe Muffins did better than him in this game, at least if you're looking just at stats, but it was a long game. It was kind of stalematy, but it wasn't too stalematy for my taste. Less stalemate than I'm expecting from Badlands. Kev says the longest match he's ever played. Yeah, it was quite long. Not the longest I've ever seen, but quite long. So if you haven't watched this one, go watch the VOD on TF32. We're going to be uploading YouTube videos. We're trying to get better at that, guys. Promise. Probably week 1 uploads will be up midweek 2, hopefully. Road's at like some convention. He can't upload there until he gets back, so hopefully we'll actually be able to get some. Muffins is better at Scout, but he's been playing Pocket. Pocket took huge heals. Yeah, I mean 7,000 heals here and 8,600 here. Yeah. How much has Muffins been playing Scout though in the past? Because I feel like he definitely was originally known as Scout, but I feel like he's played on Hibbleton. I think he played Pocket or Soldier, and Woodpig I think he played Soldier. I could be wrong on that, but he seems like I feel like he's been playing Soldier for a while. And my enemy was versus Froyotech. This is kind of the other match I wanted you to hear up. They actually got around off Froyotech, which I thought was really interesting. Obviously, my anime list we've talked about are one of the stronger low-level teams this season, and Froyotech are having their issues, but getting around in the first half. Froyotech's not a team that'll throw either. Like, sometimes if it's up against Ascent, like, oh, Ascent will just play Rando and Engineer for half the game, and that's how you get some rounds. But Froyotech's not a team that really does that, because then Banny will yell at you, so. Yeah, my anime list actually getting around is pretty important. It was 41 minutes. It wasn't the longest game we've ever seen, but still decently timed there. Looking at the stats on my enemy list, I mean, nothing crazy high, especially when you see damage like 327 from Banny, 339 from Blaze. Damn, that's a good Blaze game. 32 frags, 339 DPM. I think Banny said something about him on only like 2-3 seasons where he wasn't on Scout. Yeah. I think Banny said something about Blaze on Twitter going huge this game, and clearly he did. So good job by him. Otherwise, nothing crazy. Did Happy Cool, aka Phelps, he top fragged his team, but again, Blaze with that 32 went really big. Not a whole lot to say here, but interesting that my anime list were able to get a round off Froyotech, whereas Black Swan weren't. I think that kind of highlights the difference between the two teams' skill level. My anime list is definitely above Black Swan in my books. So that concludes us going over this. It's been like 43 minutes. This has been a good stream so far. Now we're looking at next week. I've made some predictions here. Swift versus Froyotech, I've said going 5-3. Maybe that's a bit too much for Swift. I could see that maybe being more like a 5-2 or a 5-1 even. But with Froyotech having as many problems as they are, and Swift they look kind of bad on paper, but they had a really nice week 1. I mean, they had an easy week 1. I think they just played TF Crew and they didn't have any other games. But the fact that they did really well in the Rewind qualifier tournament, that gives me high hopes for them. Hoping they can get at least 3 rounds here. But I respect the opinion that you think they're going to get 5-1 or 5-2. Velocity versus Black Swan. This is another one where it's probably going to be like a 5-1. Especially with Black Swan. But Black Swan surprised me week 1. And Velocity on paper are looking a little rusty. Well, not on paper, but like the way they played in their qualifier. And what the other teams are saying about them. So I gotta give them a 5-2. Hoping it'll be a 5-2. Oh, it's Viaduct week. Oh, you're right. Alright, ignore all my prediction numbers then. Yeah, that changes a lot, doesn't it? It definitely is Viaduct week. I didn't think of that. Alright, well, I'm gonna switch shit up on the fly then. Viaduct Week can be a lot more flip-floppy. You know what? No, we won't change all the numbers just because I've already written them all out. But I think Velocity will probably take this one fairly convincingly. Maybe like a 4-1, 4-2. No, probably 4-1 or 4-0 in this case. Since you're right, it is Viaduct Week. Ascent versus Hooligans for Hire. It's going to be 4-0. Not much to say there. Hooligans for Hire versus My Enemy List. I try to be generous to give them a 2-5, but it'll probably be 4-0 or 4-1. Maybe 4-1, probably 4-0 again for My Enemy List. I'd like My Enemy List to come up with a strong showing here. It is against the worst team in the league, but showing that they're like not gonna even come close to this level of play would be a strong showing for My Enemy List and show that they're still contesting for 4th. Vela's been very bad at product. Have they? I think they did lose to what was it, like Feint a couple seasons ago on product when they weren't expected to. No. Feint beat got like 3 rounds off Froyotech on product a couple seasons ago. I think that's what I'm thinking about. My Enemy List versus Velocity Esports. I think this will probably be the game of the week. No. This will be one of the ones to watch next week. I think we're just working on scheduling. It depends what other games are. I think this one's happening on Thursday, and it depends what other matches are happening Thursday. Whether we'll get to cast this one or not. But I really want to watch this one, so I hope we're able to cast it. I think we'll be able to, because there's a Froyo match that's happening on Thursday, but Benny said he thought it would get moved, so hopefully we'll be able to watch this one because I'm so excited for this one. I think this will be like 4-3, or somebody. Feint beat Velocity, made 0 deaths. Right. Your Roamer had 140 ping on Chicago. Alright, keep making excuses, Pete. Nah, I'm just joking. Running with Scissors versus Black Swan. This should go probably 4-1. Maybe in favor of 8K. Maybe 4-2. I want Black Swan to be good. I really do. It's just on paper they're kind of garbage. If Black Swan's still playing with Fruit, I don't know what's happening. Because Black Swan told everybody they were playing with Jay. But then they played all their week 1 matches with Fruit. So if they're playing with Fruit some more, I think that'll bode well for them. They can do a little bit better. Maybe get some more rounds off running with Scissors. I don't think this is an impossible match for Black Swan to win either. But I'm definitely predicting 8K in this matchup. Especially with the Sandblast and Psy, like, that frozen. I didn't say that, Pete. I didn't say that. Alright. I said in comparison to Black Swan. I expect you guys to get a few rounds off of Sense. Alright? My Enemy List, I don't expect to get any rounds off Froyotech. Froyotech versus TF Crew is going to be 5-0, 4-0 on Viaduct. Running with Scissors versus Swift. This one I think could be a really interesting game as well. 8K have some room to step it up though. They're going to have to for this game, especially on Viaduct. I could see them making it like 4-2. Maybe a 4-3. Probably not though. Really have to see how their players end up playing. This is another one where I really want to watch it. So we'll see how it goes. You did beat them last season. Okay, but beating Ascent last season's not that big of a deal. Did you see Ascent's roster last season? They were garbage, buddy. And then that's the games for this season. What's the Froyotech game that I thought was good? Oh yeah, Swift versus Froyotech. That one we're going to be covering. Because that's kind of the big one versus the top invite teams. So, those are the matches, and this has kind of been my analysis of the teams. We went over overall predictions. I'll just go put that back up. This is my current standing for the teams that I have them at. My safe predictions with no like upsets involved. Where I kind of place the teams. Big things to watch as the season's going forward. If Velocity can sustain their 4th place spot, obviously My Enemy List are looking for that 4th place spot. Running with Scissors have said they're looking for that 4th place spot. Black Swan have said they expect to do well. I don't know what that means if they think they're going to take 4th place off Velocity. That's going to be interesting to watch. If Ascent can overtake Froyotech, that's going to be a big thing to watch as well. When do they meet next? That's what I want to know, actually. When do Froyotech and Ascent, the big matchup, when does that actually end up happening? And then mid-invite as well, how these three teams, 5, 6, and 7, actually end up playing against each other. None of these three teams face each other in week 2, but future weeks that should be something to look out for. Let's just check out when Fortec Ascent actually happens. Fortec Ascent, not till process, really? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's week 5. I think that's after Rewind. So it'll be a while before we see Fortec Ascent. Man, I really wish they would play each other before Rewind. They play each other week 9 as well. So interesting when the Fortec Ascent matchup that ends up happening. So it's on Process, and Badlands, classic maps. But it's been 50 minutes. It's been a long stream. I expected this to be kind of shorter than it was, but I'm glad that it went well. I thought it went well at least. I'll try to be back next season, look over some matches next week. Match or analyst thing isn't going to be as long as this week's, just because this week I had to go through all the teams and do their little preseason stuff. I wanted to do a show before the season started last week, but I hit my head and was not able to do that. So thank you guys for coming out, and yeah, see you next time. I'm gonna put this on YouTube, by the way, so for those who weren't able to make it out of the stream or weren't able to watch all of it, it'll be up there, and I'll post it on the forums. So thanks.